You're watching InvestingFlix, and today we're going deeper than usual. This isn't another stock market update or crypto forecast. This is about the system underneath it all, the system that decides how money is created, who controls it, and why it quietly shapes everything we do. There's a quote from Henry Ford that perfectly captures what you're about to hear. He said, "It is well enough that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. For if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." That's a bold statement. And the more you study how our money actually works, the more you realize he might have been right. I've spent years exploring how the financial world really operates, digging through history, economics, and policy, and it's completely changed how I see power, wealth, and control. So today, I want to take you behind the curtain. By the end of this video, you'll understand who truly controls our money, where it really comes from, and why that truth is rarely discussed. Let's start with the simplest question of all. Who controls money? It's not you, not me, not even the government, at least not directly. We spend our whole lives chasing money, saving it, worrying about it. Yet most of us have no idea where it's born or who decides how much exists. To find that answer, we need to go back in time. The year is 1694. England is broke after decades of war. Desperate for funds, it allows a group of private bankers to create a new institution, a central bank, that can lend the government money out of thin air, with interest. That was the birth of modern central banking. The idea spread fast. Fast forward to 1910. A small group of America's wealthiest bankers secretly board a train to Jekyll Island, Georgia. Away from journalists and politicians, they draft the plan that becomes the U.S. Federal Reserve. They do it in secret because back then, people understood what central banks meant. Cycles of boom and bust, wealth flowing upward, and a small elite gaining control over national debt. The bill passes quietly in December 1913, while most of Congress is away for the holidays. Overnight, control over U.S. money creation shifts to a private institution. Today, the Federal Reserve isn't just powerful, it's untouchable. Its decisions move global markets, shape interest rates, and influence the cost of everything from food to housing. And even if you don't live in America, you're still affected. Because after World War II, the US dollar became the world's reserve currency, the foundation that every other currency stands on. For decades, that system worked because the dollar was backed by gold. But in 1971, that link was cut. The dollar, and every currency tied to it, became backed by nothing but trust. That's what fiat currency means. Money has value because governments say it does, and because we believe it does. Here's the part that shocks most people. When the U.S. government needs money, it doesn't just print it, it issues an IOU, a bond. The Federal Reserve buys that bond by typing new numbers into an account. That's how new money enters the system. Nothing tangible is created, just digital entries on a screen. Commercial banks do something similar. When you take out a loan, for a house, a car, or even a credit card, the bank doesn't hand you someone else's savings. It simply creates new money by adding digits to your account. Over 90% of all money in existence today was created this way, through loans. And that brings us to one of the system's biggest secrets. Our money is debt. It isn't backed by gold, silver, or anything physical. It's backed by the promise to repay, plus interest. If borrowing ever stops, the whole system starts to shrink. That's why central banks constantly adjust interest rates to keep the debt cycle alive. But this has a cost. Every time new money is created, the value of existing money falls. That's inflation. It's why prices keep rising decade after decade, and why the same $1,000 today buys far less than it did 30 years ago. In the 1950s, wages rose along with prices. But since 2008, that balance broke. Costs soar, paychecks lag behind, and wealth concentrates at the top. Central banks claim they use their power to stabilize economies, but history shows how easily it can backfire. In the early 2000s, the Fed cut rates to just 1% to fight recession. Cheap money flooded into housing, inflating one of the biggest bubbles in history. When it popped in 2008, the world paid the price. Yet the solution, and again, was to create even more money. Other nations went further. Japan's central bank began buying stocks with money created from nothing, becoming one of the largest shareholders in its own market. Think about that. a central bank using imaginary money to own real companies. So who controls our money? In reality, it's a partnership between central banks and commercial banks. Central banks set the rules, decide the cost of borrowing, and steer the economy. Commercial banks multiply that money through loans. Governments borrow it, taxpayers repay it, with interest. Some argue this isn't the problem, it's who benefits. President Lincoln once tried to issue greenbacks, money created directly by the government, debt-free and interest-free. He believed money should serve the people, not rule them. Others today turn to gold, silver, or crypto, searching for value outside a system built on debt and trust. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of most people. Because once you see how money is truly created, everything starts to make sense. The bubbles, the crises, the inequality. None of it is random. It's the logical outcome of a system that runs on ever-growing debt. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm asking you to look deeper. Research. Question. Follow the evidence. When you understand where money really comes from, the headlines read differently. The markets make more sense. And you'll never see the economy or Bitcoin the same way again. You've been watching InvestingFlix. Thanks for staying till the end. If this opened your eyes, share it with someone who still thinks the system works like they taught us in school. Stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching InvestingFlix, where smart money learns smarter moves. Subscribe for more insights that grow your wealth.